Brothers, if you've ever wondered why some men seem to effortlessly navigate life's complexities while others struggle to keep up, you're about to discover the Sigma secret that changes everything. Welcome to a deep dive into the strategic mind of the Sigma male, the man who doesn't just react to the world, but shapes it from the shadows. This isn't about becoming antisocial or withdrawing from life. This is about understanding why the most successful men in history have mastered the art of strategic thinking, and how you can develop the same mental frameworks that keep Sigma males consistently ahead of the game. If you're tired of being reactive instead of proactive, if you're ready to develop the kind of strategic thinking that puts you in control of your destiny, then you need to subscribe to this channel right now. We're building a community of men who understand that true power comes from preparation, not performance. Hit that subscribe button and join thousands of Sigma males who are already implementing these strategies in their daily lives. 1. Strategic solitude. Picture this. While everyone else is scrambling for attention, networking frantically, and desperately seeking validation from the crowd, there's a man who sits back, observes, and calculates his next 3 moves before others even realize the game has started. This isn't luck. This is the Sigma advantage. Strategic solitude is the cornerstone of Sigma dominance, and it's exactly why these men consistently outmaneuver the masses. While others are drowning in social noise, the Sigma male has mastered the art of purposeful isolation to gain unprecedented clarity and strategic vision. The power of strategic solitude lies in its ability to eliminate the mental clutter that plagues most men. When you're constantly surrounded by opinions, distractions, and the endless chatter of social dynamics, your cognitive resources become scattered. The Sigma male recognizes this trap and deliberately extracts himself from it. He understands that true strategic thinking requires mental space, something that's impossible to achieve when you're constantly plugged into the social matrix. Consider the example of a Sigma entrepreneur who, while his competitors are busy attending every networking event and chasing every trend, spends his evenings in quiet analysis. He's studying market patterns, identifying gaps that others miss, and developing strategies that won't become apparent to the mainstream for months. By the time his competitors catch wind of the opportunity, he's already 3 steps ahead, having prepared his execution plan during those hours of strategic solitude. This isolation isn't antisocial behavior, it's intelligent resource allocation. The Sigma male understands that attention is currency, and he refuses to spend it carelessly. While others exhaust their mental energy on trivial social interactions and meaningless small talk, he's conserving and channeling that energy toward activities that compound his advantages. The strategic solitude of a Sigma also creates an information asymmetry that works in his favor. When you're not constantly broadcasting your thoughts, plans, and reactions, you become unpredictable. Others can't anticipate your moves because they don't have access to your decision-making process. Meanwhile, your periods of observation allow you to gather intelligence on everyone else's patterns, weaknesses, and predictable behaviors. Think about it this way. While everyone else is playing checkers in public, the Sigma is playing chess in private. He's several moves ahead because he's had the time and mental clarity to think through various scenarios, anticipate responses, and prepare contingency plans. This is why Sigma males often appear to have an almost supernatural ability to navigate complex situations. They've already wargamed the possibilities during their strategic isolation. Information architecture mastery. The Sigma male doesn't just collect information. He architects it into a strategic advantage that compounds over time. While others are consuming random content and reacting to whatever crosses their social media feeds, the Sigma has developed systematic approaches to information gathering, processing, and application that keep him perpetually ahead of the curve. Information architecture begins with understanding that not all information is created equal. The Sigma male has developed sophisticated filters for determining what deserves his attention and what should be discarded immediately. He recognizes that information overload is a weapon used against strategic thinking, so he's created systems to cut through the noise and focus only on data that enhances his decision-making capabilities. The first layer of Sigma information architecture is source diversification with quality control. Instead of relying on mainstream media or popular opinion, the Sigma cultivates relationships with primary sources, industry insiders, and contrarian thinkers who provide perspectives that aren't available to the general public. He understands that by the time information reaches the masses, it's already been filtered, sanitized, and often weaponized for specific agendas. Consider how a Sigma approaches market analysis. While others are reading the same financial news websites and following the same analysts, he's tracking unusual trading patterns, monitoring regulatory filings that others ignore, and paying attention to seemingly unrelated industries that might signal broader economic shifts. He's built an information network that gives him early warning systems for both opportunities and threats. The second layer is pattern recognition across seemingly unconnected domains. The Sigma male trains himself to see connections that others miss by maintaining awareness across multiple fields simultaneously. He might notice that changes in shipping costs correlate with certain political developments, or that social media sentiment shifts precede market movements by specific timeframes. This cross-domain pattern recognition allows him to predict outcomes that appear impossible to those operating within single information silos. The third layer is information timing and strategic release. The Sigma doesn't just gather superior information, he understands when and how to act on it for maximum advantage. He knows that acting too early can expose his strategy to competitors, while acting too late eliminates the advantage entirely. This timing mastery extends to how he shares information with others, often using partial reveals to test reactions and gather additional intelligence about other players' positions and capabilities. The Sigma also understands the power of information gaps, deliberately maintaining uncertainty about his own capabilities and intentions while maximizing his knowledge about others. This creates what intelligence professionals call information asymmetry, where he can make informed decisions while his competitors are operating with incomplete data. Systematic thinking implementation. Where most men react emotionally and make decisions based on immediate circumstances, the Sigma male has developed systematic thinking processes that remove emotion from critical decisions and create consistent, superior outcomes. This isn't about being cold or calculating. It's about developing reliable frameworks for decision-making that compound advantages over time. Systematic thinking begins with the recognition that most human decision-making is flawed by cognitive biases, emotional impulses, and social pressures. The Sigma male has studied these weaknesses in human psychology and developed systems to counteract them in his own thinking. He approaches major decisions with checklists, decision trees, and probability assessments that reduce the likelihood of costly mistakes. The first component of Sigma systematic thinking is scenario planning. Instead of hoping for the best outcome, the Sigma male develops multiple scenarios for any significant decision or venture. He doesn't just plan for success, he plans for partial success, failure, and unexpected complications. This preparation allows him to remain calm and decisive when others are panicking because unexpected developments were already accounted for in his planning process. Take the example of a Sigma planning a career transition. While others might quit their job impulsively when frustrated or jump at the first opportunity that presents itself, the Sigma has already mapped out multiple potential career paths, identified the skills and connections needed for each, and developed contingency plans for various market conditions. When the right opportunity presents itself, he's already prepared to move quickly and decisively. The second component is systematic learning and skill acquisition. The Sigma male doesn't learn randomly or pursue knowledge for entertainment. He strategically identifies skill gaps that limit his capabilities and develops systematic approaches to closing those gaps. He understands that certain skills have multiplier effects, allowing him to leverage other capabilities more effectively. The third component is systematic relationship management. The Sigma doesn't network randomly or maintain relationships for social validation. He systematically identifies individuals who align with his objectives and add value to his strategic position. He maintains these relationships through consistent, valuable interactions, while avoiding time wasters and energy vampires who drain resources without providing strategic benefits. The fourth component is systematic resource allocation. The Sigma male treats his time, energy, and attention as finite resources that must be allocated strategically for maximum return on investment. He regularly audits how he's spending these resources and makes adjustments to eliminate waste and increase focus on high-leverage activities. This systematic approach extends to how he handles setbacks and failures. Instead of emotional reactions or random course corrections, he has systematic processes for analyzing what went wrong, extracting lessons learned, and incorporating that knowledge into future decision-making processes. This turns failures into strategic assets rather than just costly mistakes. Temporal advantage exploitation. Time is the one resource that's equally distributed to everyone. Yet Sigma males consistently achieve more with their time than others thought possible. This isn't about working harder or longer. It's about understanding time as a strategic dimension that can be manipulated for competitive advantage. The Sigma male has mastered temporal thinking in ways that allow him to operate on different timescales than his competitors. Temporal advantage begins with understanding that most people operate on emotional time rather than strategic time. They make decisions based on how they feel in the moment, react to immediate pressures, and optimize for short-term relief rather than long-term positioning. The Sigma male has trained himself to think beyond immediate gratification and operate on timescales that align with his strategic objectives rather than his emotional impulses. The first aspect of temporal mastery is timing arbitrage, the ability to act when others can't or won't. While most people avoid uncertainty and wait for perfect conditions, the Sigma male has developed the capability to act decisively during periods of market volatility, social chaos, or industry disruption. He understands that these periods of uncertainty create the greatest opportunities for strategic repositioning. Consider how a Sigma approaches economic downturns. While others are paralyzed by fear and uncertainty, he's actively seeking opportunities to acquire assets at depressed prices, hire talented individuals who have been displaced, or start ventures that will be perfectly positioned when conditions improve. He's not ignoring the risks. He's calculated that the potential rewards justify action when others are frozen by fear. The second aspect is patience as a competitive weapon. In a world obsessed with instant gratification and immediate results, the Sigma male's willingness to delay gratification and execute long-term strategies becomes a massive advantage. He can pursue opportunities that require years to develop because he's not under pressure to show immediate results or satisfy external expectations. This patience manifests in how he builds expertise, develops relationships, and positions himself in emerging markets. While competitors are jumping from opportunity to opportunity seeking quick wins, the Sigma is systematically building capabilities and relationships that compound over time. When the right moment arrives, he has the preparation and positioning to capitalize completely, while others are just beginning to recognize the opportunity. The third aspect is temporal diversification, operating multiple strategies on different timescales simultaneously. The Sigma doesn't put all his efforts into short-term tactics or long-term strategies exclusively. He maintains a portfolio of activities that produce results across different time horizons, ensuring consistent progress while building long-term strategic advantages. The fourth aspect is using time compression and expansion strategically. The Sigma male understands when to accelerate processes and when to slow them down for maximum advantage. He can compress decision-making timeframes when speed provides competitive advantage, but he can also extend timelines when patience allows for better positioning or more information gathering. 5. Psychological leverage mastery. Understanding human psychology isn't just an academic exercise for the Sigma male. It's a practical skill set that allows him to predict behavior, influence outcomes, and position himself advantageously in any social or professional dynamic. While others are reacting emotionally to situations, the Sigma is reading the psychological landscape and making strategic moves based on deep understanding of human motivation and behavior patterns. Psychological leverage begins with understanding that most human behavior is predictable once you understand the underlying motivations, fears, and cognitive biases that drive decision-making. The Sigma male has studied psychology not to manipulate others maliciously, but to understand the game being played beneath the surface of all human interactions. The first component of psychological mastery is emotional intelligence without emotional dependence. The Sigma can read emotional states, understand their implications, and respond appropriately without being controlled by either his own emotions or the emotions of others. This emotional independence allows him to make rational decisions in highly charged situations, where others become reactive and unpredictable. For example, in negotiation situations, while others become emotionally invested in winning or losing face, the Sigma remains focused on achieving his actual objectives. He can recognize when someone is bluffing, when they're desperate, or when they're operating from a position of strength or weakness. This psychological intelligence allows him to structure deals that appear fair to all parties, while actually favoring his long-term strategic position. The second component is understanding social dynamics and power structures without becoming enslaved by them. The Sigma recognizes social hierarchies and understands how to navigate them effectively, but he doesn't derive his self-worth from his position within these structures. This independence allows him to form alliances, extract value, and change positions fluidly without the emotional baggage that limits others. The third component is strategic authenticity, the ability to be genuinely himself while understanding how that authenticity will be perceived and leveraged in different contexts. The Sigma doesn't create fake personas, but he understands how to present different aspects of his authentic self depending on what the situation requires for maximum effectiveness. The fourth component is psychological positioning, understanding how to position himself in other people's minds for maximum strategic advantage. This isn't about deception, but about understanding that perception shapes reality in human interactions. The Sigma carefully manages how he's perceived by different stakeholders, ensuring that these perceptions align with his strategic objectives. The fifth component is understanding and leveraging cognitive biases. The Sigma knows that human decision-making is influenced by predictable biases like anchoring, confirmation bias, social proof, and scarcity perception. He can structure situations and presentations to work with these biases rather than against them, making his proposals more compelling and his positions more defensible. 6. Adaptive resilience framework. The final and perhaps most crucial element of Sigma superiority is the development of adaptive resilience, the ability to not just survive setbacks, but to emerge stronger and more strategically positioned than before. While others are broken by failure or become rigid in their thinking, The Sigma male has developed frameworks for continuous adaptation and improvement that turn obstacles into advantages. Adaptive resilience isn't about being tough or stubborn, it's about being intelligently flexible while maintaining core strategic principles. The Sigma understands that the world is constantly changing, and strategies that worked in the past may not work in the future. He's developed the capability to adapt his methods while staying true to his fundamental objectives. The first element of adaptive resilience is anti-fragility, the concept that certain systems become stronger when stressed rather than weaker. The Sigma male has structured his life, career, and investments to benefit from volatility and uncertainty rather than being damaged by them. When others are struggling to maintain stability, he's positioned to capitalize on the chaos. This anti-fragility manifests in how he approaches skill development, relationship building, and financial positioning. Instead of specializing narrowly or depending on single sources of income or opportunity, he builds diversified capabilities and multiple pathways to success. When one path becomes blocked or less effective, he has alternatives ready to deploy. The second element is systematic learning from failure. Instead of avoiding failure or treating it as purely negative, the Sigma has developed frameworks for extracting maximum learning value from setbacks and mistakes. He approaches failure as expensive education rather than just loss, systematically analyzing what went wrong and how that knowledge can be applied to future situations. The third element is strategic pivoting, the ability to change course rapidly when conditions change without losing momentum or strategic positioning. The Sigma male can abandon strategies that are no longer effective without ego attachment or sunk cost fallacy. He's constantly monitoring the effectiveness of his approaches and making adjustments based on results rather than emotional investment. The fourth element is community and resource network resilience. The Sigma understands that true independence requires having reliable support systems and resource networks that can be activated during challenging periods. He invests time and energy in building relationships and systems that provide mutual benefit and can be leveraged during times of need. The fifth element is mental and physical optimization for sustained performance. The Sigma male understands that resilience requires maintaining peak cognitive and physical capabilities over extended periods. He's developed systematic approaches to stress management, health optimization, and mental clarity that allow him to perform consistently even under pressure. The 6 pillars we've explored today: strategic solitude, information architecture mastery, systematic thinking implementation, temporal advantage exploitation, psychological leverage mastery, and adaptive resilience framework. These aren't just concepts to understand intellectually. They're practical systems that Sigma males implement daily to maintain their edge in an increasingly competitive world. Remember, the Sigma advantage isn't about being born different. It's about thinking differently, preparing differently, and executing differently. Every man watching this video has the capability to develop these frameworks, but only those committed to the discipline of strategic thinking will actually implement them. The difference between a man who struggles and reacts to life versus one who shapes and controls his destiny comes down to these systematic approaches to decision-making, relationship building, and strategic positioning. You now have the blueprint. The question is whether you'll commit to building the discipline required to implement it. But here's what I need you to do right now. If this content is opening your eyes to new possibilities, if you're starting to see why these frameworks are game changers, then subscribe to this channel and ring that notification bell. We're going deep into Sigma psychology and strategic thinking, and you don't want to miss a single insight that could transform your approach to life, business, and success. Your future self will thank you for making this commitment today. The Sigma path isn't crowded because it requires discipline most men aren't willing to develop. But for those who commit to strategic thinking over emotional reactions, to preparation over performance, the rewards are unlimited. Welcome to the Sigma mindset. Now let's see if you have what it takes to implement it.